Good evening and welcome to the Finance and Budget and Personnel Committee meeting of August 20th, 2024. The first order on the agenda is to identify potential conflicts of interest. You've had the packet, you've had a chance to look at it. Does anybody feel they have a conflict here? Okay, and with that, we'll go on to citizen comments. Now, this will be for anyone who is not on the agenda already. If you're here to represent one of the groups that are seeking funding from the city, you're already on the agenda, so we will call you when the time comes up. This is for people who are not on the agenda just yet. This is a wide open hearing. Okay, are there any citizen comments? There being none, we'll move on to the next, and that's the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda tonight, we have minutes of the August 6th, 2024 meeting, bills and payroll, treasury report for June. And the recommended action is to approve the consent agenda as presented. Motion by Spiro, second by Andy Weigel. Discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So carried. And next up is presentation of requests for 2025 budget funding from the city's Economic Development Board, Fund 205, introduced by Steve Barg, City Administrator. Steve, you're going to present pretty much all of it.
I'm just going to introduce what's going to go on here, if I can.
Okay, thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot, Council Chairman, I should say, Wagner. Yeah, tonight we're going to hear from organizations. These requests previously would have gone to the Economic Development Board. We no longer have an Economic Development Board. These requests for funding in the city's 2025 budget under the Economic, or 205 fund as we call it. You'll be hearing from 4 entities tonight looking for funding. There's one more that we'll be presenting to you on Tuesday, September 3rd. And after that, we'll be looking for you to make decisions on September 17th on what you want to see included in the budget that you'll be discussing for approval later in the fall. So with that, I guess I would ask the first one to come up. That is going to be Perry and Michelle representing Marshfield area pickleball community.
Thanks, Steve. We'll try to make this quick here for you, and hopefully in your packets you got some information from us regarding the pickleball request of $80,000. My name is Michelle Bornke, and I was the fundraising chair for the Marshfield area pickleball community, and also I sit on the board. And with me is Perry Stargard, and he's our president for the Marshfield area pickleball community. I don't know how much you know about the pickleball complex and where we're at. Do you want me to give it like a really fast update? Okay. You all know me. I tend to talk a lot. So that's a great, okay. All right. So we started our board, and we have some of our board members here tonight sitting in the back. And we did that this fall. We kicked off a campaign in October. We wrapped up the campaign around January of the new year. We broke ground for the Move Forward Pickleball Complex, which is located in Brain Park in the city this spring. And from what I hear from Justin, it's going very well, and hopefully by the end of this fall, it'll be completed. As far as the fundraising, we raised $451,000, and we have committed $403,000 to this city towards this project. That leaves us about $48,000 left, which about, I keep saying about because these are estimates. I'm still working with Stratford Signs on the signage because we'll be paying for that as well. Could run about $20,000. We will have approximately $28,000 for the sustaining fund, which we were hoping to have $50,000. We didn't quite get to that yet, but the sustaining fund is for pickleball, the rackets, the holders, startup equipment for our tournaments, for the community learn to plays, for our windbreaks, for replacing nets, for filling cracks. We want this pickleball complex to stay nice for years to come. So we are committed for the future to keep it going, not just build it and then you guys have to worry about how to take care of it. We really enjoy our partnership with the Parks and Rec and work well with Justin. So that's what the sustaining campaign's for. The overall project came in at $600,000. So just really quick, Marshfield area pickleball then gave 67% of the funding. The city, with the CIP project, was $150,000, so that's 25%. And then there was other grants, the Marshfield Area Community Foundation grant, the Wood County, about 8%. If you add in the $80,000, that then brings this project to $680,000. So those totals then would be the Marshfield Area Community, or the Marshfield Area Pickleball Group would be at 61%. And the city of Marshfield then would be contributing about 34% towards this project. So I think that's important because I think sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, we're giving money to this again. It would be 25% up to 34% is what we're asking, so you can see the big picture. So what is all of this about? And Steve, in your packets, if you look at the second page, wanted me to kind of clarify and maybe, can I see I think it was page 3, this one, just guessing. And I didn't number the pages, sorry. Where it says benefits to the city of Marshfield and the return on investment. You can read this, but I do want to tell you, if you don't know anything about pickleball, or even the people in the audience, except for the back row, they know all of this. Pickleball is a really growing sport. It has been for over the last 3 years. It's grown by 233%. Marshfield, we have over 500 members in our group, and it continues to grow. Our worry is, what are we going to do with all these people this winter, right? So I don't know. You may expect to see us in a couple of years going, now we need indoor courts. So hey, heads up. But if you look in the community for central Wisconsin, the heart of Wisconsin, Plover, they're doing a campaign right now for 12 courts. What is the lake? I've just played pickleball there.
Oh, Lake Hallie.
Lake Hallie is touting their 18 courts. Our communities around us are all building outdoor and indoor courts. If you want to have economic development, you want to bring people to this community, you want people to choose Marshfield to stay because they're coming here for some other convention or event, they're going to be looking for pickleball. So we really do see, and you can see here, if we run a tournament and our goal is to have not just one, but maybe 2 or 3 tournaments, especially with lights. We can do it at night. We can expand the season of it. If you look at the dollars, a lot of our people back here, I'm looking to make sure I don't lie, have been in tournaments before, and the average cost, if you look, is $125 per person. They usually stay 2 nights because they're in a couple of different categories, so 250, and our courts are going to be able to hold over 100 people at a tournament. So basically, if you do the math, it's $25,000 we could bring into the city for gas and hotels and food and shopping and all of that. And the recruitment of younger people, 30% of the pickleball players are age 18 to 24, despite everybody thinking it's all retirees, like we are. It is a younger generation. So this will benefit Marshfield as far as recruiting as well. So that's the return on investment. If we only do 1 tournament a year, it would be about 3-year return on investment of your 80,000. If we do 2 or 3 plus tournaments or leagues, open play, learn to plays, we're bringing in even more people into this community. So that dollar or that return on investment could be less. It could be a year or 2. But we do need the lights in order to expand our opportunity to be able to do that. The second question on the list, here you go, was what portion of the requested funds of the 80,000 would be used for salary and benefits? I just say none. We are all volunteers, we're all participants. All of the funds hopefully would just be earmarked for the Park and Rec Department. It would be going to the contractor that would be doing the lights, finishing the lights. Right now, we'll have the bases and I don't know what you call
All the wire, everything is there.
It'll all be there except we need the actual lights and that done. So that would be none. The third question was, what is your organization's annual budget? As far as the Marshfield area pickleball community, again, it's all volunteers and participants. Our only budget was the money that we raised. That's the only money we did have, and that's all with the Marshfield Area Community Foundation. It's very similar to Vanda Hay Waters. We have no budget, we have no annual income. We just, everything that we've raised or money that we've earned, we're actually giving it back to you, the city. So it's earmarked for this move forward pickleball complex. So I'm going to turn it over to Perry. He was going to maybe talk a little bit more about why the lights, the 80K. Okay. And then any questions you have.
Again, any income, like say what we generate during a tournament, all that is going to go right back into the sustaining fund. There's nobody here going to take it. So we're just going to continue to build that. So down the road, when there is repairs, we can take care of it. We don't have to go back to the city and ask for more money. As far as the needs for the lights, you can look at it at the bottom of page 2 and top of page 3. As far as the need, I just want my own take on the lights itself. Played quite a bit of pickleball, been in a lot of areas to play pickleball. 2 years ago when we came back from Georgia, I said, let's get courts here in Marshfield, dedicated pickleball courts. I tell you right now, with the businesses' help, with the city's help and everything, our courts are going to be the best courts in the state of Wisconsin. I guarantee it. That's how nice this whole thing has gone. The business has been great. Our complex is going to be absolutely beautiful. I don't want to shortchange it now and say, oh, let's not put lights there. And now we kind of go, okay, we have a great complex. Let's do it. Let's go all out here. As far as lighting, you can go to a lot of, I don't know if anybody else that really has lighting around. We were down in Tampa at a tournament down there, and they called it the tournament under the lights. Again, that's something where we can bring people to town to run a tournament under the lights. There are very few cities in the area. Yeah, a lot of them are building, but they're not putting in the lights. So here we go. That's an advantage we have. I take the city of Marshfield. Let's take tourism for the city of Marshfield. We don't have a lot here. We don't have mountains. We don't have lakes. We don't have rivers. We don't have things to bring people in. What we do have here in Marshfield is the location. We're right in the center of the state. Perfect. So now what we can do to draw people to town. Well, right here you go. I mean, this thing is going to be dynamite. You put lights on this court, people that come to this court and the complex, say the complex is going to be beautiful. Now light it up, they will come. I guarantee you people will be here. So I guess going forward, I don't want to leave it where, okay, we did good. I want to go, well, let's do something great. So let's light it up. Thank you.
Is there anybody else here that needs to speak from the podium?
No.
Or do we open up for questions from the board? Do any of the committee members have a question? Yes, Natasha, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm wondering if Visit Marshfield has given you any donations. Okay.
Can I just respond? Okay. Visit Marshfield, we're on their brochure, they have the round barn in there. Neat, unique, I get that. It was built in 1916. These courts will bring people in. I don't think the round barn is bringing people tourism to Marshfield anymore. Nothing against the round barn. I'm just saying, let's put us in that brochure. Let's pickleball with the lights on be part of that brochure. Let's bring people to town. Thank you.
Before I ask for any more questions, I understand that our purpose tonight is to hear your initial request and that this will come back to the Finance Committee back in a few days, a few weeks. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, please.
Sorry, I had another one. So if there's a tournament and you have 2 nights for the tournament, how many tournaments were you thinking in, let's say, a calendar year?
Well, hopefully we could do one in the spring and then one in the fall. That seems to be the cycle for a lot of them. And what Perry was just saying, we could even do a third one. We wouldn't do this. Our event person's not here, so Joe can't get mad at me, but we could possibly squeeze in another tournament that you could do at night. Not to mention maybe youth tournaments, especially since we're tied very closely with the Park and Rec. I think that we could do a lot of learn to plays, and then leagues are really popular as well. Those sometimes go as like 10 weeks or the whole season, so.
And even
Yeah.
in leagues, like she's talking, a lot of them leagues are, well, people are working, so they're going to be evening plays. Again, that need for the lights, because in the spring and the fall, it's going to go later. You would need the lights to run them leagues. My goal when we first did this was I would like, and I no guarantee, but I would like Badger State games here in Marshfield. Again, we're in the center of the state. Played in Badger State games up in Wausau a month ago. They're not getting much draw from the south, and I think it's because of the distance. They're just going, no. Let's go center of the state, and let's build the complex with the lights, and let's get Badger State games here.
So I just want to say two statements because I know we're going to do this in September. One is our lawyer gave us a policy that said when we have nonprofits, we can safely, in a way, I don't think safely is the word, but anyhow, we can donate to them if it's going to directly affect our city, directly benefit us. And so this project, to me, squarely falls in that realm. It's you guys are giving money to a public park that any citizen can use at any time of the day. It's very much benefiting, and you are doing all of the legwork to help our park. So I think you've hit that square on the head. The thing that I would almost challenge, and this is going out on the airwaves to challenge Visit Marshfield, I would like, and this is an idea for our group, I would like to see a matching grant. If we decide to give money, I want to see Visit Marshfield give you even more. So if we give 30,000, they give 50 to get to your 80, because every time there's a hotel stay, they make more money than we do. We get 30% that goes to our Parks and Rec. They get 70% of the hotel tax. So I'm just throwing that out as a challenge. Talk to their board people. Get those board. I would love to be something like that where Visit Marshfield puts their nickel down for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Ms. Spiros.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions about a couple of different things. You said you had over 500 members. What type of membership fee do you charge?
Okay, we haven't charged anything yet. The 500 members is on the Facebook, on our Marshfield Pickleball Facebook. There's over 500. Now, some of them have been traveling people. We get weekly where you get people there onto the site. They go, where do you guys play pickleball in Marshfield? We want to play. You have the traveling nurses, you have a lot of people with the clinic that do that, where they contact us as far as where to play. Going forward, yes, we were looking at charging for membership $25 for the year. And that money, again, that would go right back into the sustaining fund. It's nobody's taking any of that money. That goes right back there so we can do all the repairs as far as that goes. But am I going to say, oh, if you didn't pay this money, you can't play? No. This is strictly for the members. What we were looking at is we were building a shed there so anybody that's a member can have the combination to the shed. We want to buy a pickleball machine that they can use. So, so you have a little favorable that you're paying the fee for something, but we're not stopping anybody from coming to play by any means. So.
Okay, and my next question would be, so this is in a public park that is open to the public and paid for by taxpayers. Upkeep for it has been for years. So when you have a tournament, how are you going to accommodate people who are not in your tournament, who are from the city of Marshfield, who want to play at the same time?
Good question. I guess I know with the Bozen courts up there, them four have been utilized quite a bit now, so there'd be no problem. We have with the Bozen courts now, and also at the middle school, there's 8 courts there, so there are other options now going forward. But yeah,
If I can,
I didn't know if you had, set one court aside or, I mean, it is a public park, and I hate to put restrictions,
and it depends on how many people that we have, sign up. And again, I would probably defer it to Justin and the Parks and Recreation, how they've handled other tournaments on other, tennis, it'd be similar to tennis tournaments, your softball, baseball games, that type of thing. It might be well announced. If you have something as big as the Badger State Games, it might be, well, these courts are going to be used during this time, but there'll be open play. And as pickleballers, that's what people call us, you look online and go, oh, they have a big tournament like Century. We couldn't play there the other week because they had a big event going on. So, but they'll set aside court time at this time, or you can go to this Mead Park and play there instead. So they kind of shuffle you around, and
yeah, I guess
we
if
work
you
around it.
even, let's go back to when they had the MAC tournament here in town, you get 64 teams and it was just packed in here. Well, at that point, they used every venue there was. They were on Brain Park, they did over on the baseball diamonds they were doing, and you had the fairgrounds. So they, at that time, and the same thing, it brought so many people to town, it was a great revenue for the city. But they say as far as parks, they used every diamond that was available back then, so.
Okay. In follow-up to something Natasha brought up with Visit Marshfield, I would actually encourage you to get a meeting with them, and I would ask for the full 80,000. And I feel like if they are unwilling to contribute and we were to consider giving another 80,000, I think that we would do it in the form of some sort of a repayment. So that the money comes back to the citizens, because it's their money that we would be loaning you, rather than, like I say, like she pointed out, 70% going back to an organization that didn't contribute anything.
Anybody else over there? I guess I've got to make a couple of comments here. I'm a little confused about some things. So where are you, let's assume you've got the lighted courts, you've got enough courts for a tournament. Where does your money come from? Where does how does money flow into your account once these things are done? How does the city get its money back? Explain that to me, please.
You mean the return on investment as far as economic development, or how does the city get their money back?
That's exactly what I'm asking you. You're asking for the money. You got to answer it.
Well, we're asking for the funds to be, in addition to the 150,000, that there wouldn't be a payback. The return on investment is through the Economic Development Board when we made the presentation of the benefit of the courts to the city and the citizens as far as their enrichment, having this asset in the community, bringing in new people to the community and visitors, staying in the hotels, using restaurants, gas, that type of thing.
Your return on investment, you were playing with 80,000.
Right.
Using, and you're 20, it took 2.2 years to pay that back, right? Is that correct?
But it's not tangible money that's cash coming back to this city.
I think that's the point I'm trying to make, because
to
what's going to
Steve.
happen, and Mr. Casperson knows this very well, I believe, is that the Visit Marshfield, or what used to be the Visitors Convention Bureau, gets 100% of the room tax that's collected. 30% of that goes back to the city. Goes back, but is earmarked only for Parks and Recreation. I can't use that money to balance the budget. Okay, so, but the question is, what are you going to, you just said you don't have a charge for membership or anything like that. How are you going to circulate the money back to Parks and Recreation if it comes out of their budget? If we're going to give them 80,000 out of their budget, I'm going to give that to you, and we're going to get a return on investment. How? Is it the capital structure?
They're not giving us the money. This is for the city. This is for parks.
Who is the city?
Park and Rec. I mean, we aren't taking any of this money.
Okay, thank you. I pass. Go ahead, Natasha.
I'm just clarifying, Ed. I think what they had mentioned a sustaining fund, and that's their future maintenance fund. So they said that if they did a tournament, any of the money that they got from the tournament would go into that fund, which is at Mackey. And then when Parks
Where
and
do they
Rec,
get, where do they get that money to pay it back if they're not charging any
isn't it
fees?
at Mackey?
No, it's
At the foundation, I'm sorry, it's at the foundation. But, so then they would put it in that pickleball fund at the foundation, and then if something was broken, they could go and fix it. They don't have to go through Parks and Rec. So they mentioned things like lights or nets or things like that. It doesn't have to come up in our budget to fix a park amenity.
Well, let me just go on record as disagreeing with you, so we'll go from there. Okay, anybody else want to have anything to say? If not, well, we thank you all for coming, and we'll carry on with our agenda.
Okay, thanks
And
for your time.
Well, I think you'll be notified of the date for the hearing. So, thank you very much. Steve?
Yeah, next up, thank you, Perry and Michelle. Appreciate that a lot. Next up is Karen Olson from the Marshfield Area Community Foundation, or Chamber Foundation, I'm sorry. If I could just read my own writing, it'd be fine.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry that that is so confusing with all these foundations, so I hope I can clarify that a little bit better tonight. I want to take you on a little bit of a journey tonight through the things that I've been doing actually for 23 years. I can't believe where the time has went, but I want to take you on a journey as to what I do every year and what I think is important for economic development and the community. This position was started back in 2001, and it was originally started with the executive director of Mackey and the city of Marshfield, the economic development, and at that time it was really just kind of a planning group. And they determined that the executive director at the chamber was spending a lot of time trying to work with small businesses, businesses looking to relocate, looking for locations besides what realtors had, promotion, all kinds of things that the city really didn't have the time or the staff to do. And she really needed to focus on the membership. So they came together, created this kind of a joint position at that time to say, okay, here's a job description, here's what we really need this position to be doing. And thus, that's where I came aboard. And I think that the position has changed a little bit. And again, we'll kind of go through that with this PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So when the Economic Development Board was established, one of the things that they came across or did actually was an Economic Development Strategic Plan. And I hope that you've had time to look at that either prior to this or after. If you haven't, it is on the city's website. There was many strategies that were brought forward by this group, and I believe it was approved by the council. I can't swear to that, but anyway, I think that they came up with a really good list, and on that list, they listed who was the responsible party for most of those, and sometimes it was more than one party. So I've picked out some of the ones that I feel really fall a lot on my plate, and those are the ones I want to discuss with you tonight. Do you know my... Oh, okay. So this one is identify desirable amenities and business mix for the community. And this is important because there are some businesses that we really can't support here. You know, if it's somebody that needs a lot of water, you know, if it's somebody that's doing, you know, whatever, we might not be able to support that here in Marshfield or even on lake access or something like that. So how do we identify this? We do it in a number of different ways. One of them was when we went through the site selection process. We had a site selection group come in. They looked at what we already had existing here. They looked at the type of employment we had here, the type of land we had here. And they said, this is really some targets that you guys should be shooting for. And that included food processing, agriculture products, wood products, metals and related operations. Not a big surprise to us, but you know, kind of solidified why we work towards that. We support any efforts to bring in new retail, new restaurants, new entertainment, because every time we've done a survey, I don't care if it was Mackey, Main Street, or anybody, you guys have heard it too. That rises to the top. There's never enough for families, for kids, for all of us that every once in a while we go out of town to go somewhere else to eat or something unique. And then we also engage with our businesses and try to identify what's going to bring employees here? What do you hear? You know, what's not available, like childcare, like broadband, like other things that we can then help to provide. And I'm going to go back a few years on this. Back in the day when we didn't have a lot of retail, and some may say we still don't, a lot of the brand names that were out there, I would go to ICSC events, and that's the International Council of Shopping Centers. That was back in the day when people really did go to trade shows, and they would be held in Chicago, and we would go with our region, and I would really support Marshfield. What's unique about Marshfield? What kind of things do we need here that we don't have? Talked about the influx from the clinic and patients and all of that. Used to go to BioForward events because through the clinic and some of the entities that they had, they were looking at moving things in the BioForward region. So I would attend those. COVID changed a lot of that. It even changed a lot of how much the state is going to that and leads and all of that. We're very, very involved with the Human Resources Group, which is actually part of Mackey, but I interact with them as well. And those HR people share a lot with us. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what we're hearing. We also work with our partners, our region, our state, our other local partners. So identify and support economic development, redevelopment opportunities. I just picked out a couple things here. We participate in Synergy's annual developer tour. Okay, so they started that 2 years ago. Marshfield, and are they actually, yeah. Wausau and Stevens Point were the first year, and then Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids were in 23, and they just held it again up in Wausau and Stevens Point. I did get Marshfield to be a sponsor of that event. That cost $500, and that was money that I already had in my budget, so it didn't need to come forward to you. And I went and represented the city of Marshfield. And besides Bozen being there as a developer, I was the only one from Marshfield there because city staff couldn't make it. Steve was invited, but obviously couldn't make it. So we were able to interact with developers. Most of them are from Wisconsin. Several of them were housing developers, and they wanted to look at what do the communities have for redevelopment and development opportunities. And so it was a good opportunity to network with them. I will tell you the feedback we got when it was held here in Marshfield. We showed them the certified sites, which weren't official then. We also showed them the Second Street corridor, and then we showed them some of our housing entities like that Daniels Edition. And they said, you know, Marshfield, you're really not far enough along with some of these projects. We want something that's ready to go. So when you talk about the Second Street corridor, the things they brought up is you have a city garage right in the middle of this section that you may or may not move. How are we going to bring development into that area around it when you've got a city garage in the middle of it? They said Weinbrenner is here, and at point they were here, there really wasn't a lot of talks going on yet. They were started, but they weren't sure if they were going to be moving. And so I think we're going to be much more situated to present now next year to say we've got some really good news here. As a matter of fact, I reached out to one of the housing developers and let them know that it's official now with Weinbrenner, that building will eventually be coming available and we can start, you know, talking with them again. I meet a lot with businesses and I ask them, do you have enough space? If you have excess space, do you have space that we could rent out to somebody or you would lease out to somebody? And I keep track of that. So I do oftentimes get calls, whether it's from the city or other people. Now, realtors do that too. I am not trying to be a realtor, but this is somebody that's not officially listing something out there. They're just saying, I might have some space available that somebody else might be interested in. So I really think through this whole process, you're going to see it's a lot of developing relationships, getting to talk to people, knowing them, and then putting partners and putting people together. Okay, support efforts to enhance the downtown to make it more attractive for businesses, consumers, and residents. Again, this is a lot in conjunction with Kaylee. You will hear things from her as well. We've always considered ourselves partners with Main Street Marshfield. They have a specific focus area, whereas I go outside of Marshfield even, because there's potential people, there's potential workforce out there. My goal is to bring them to Marshfield and have them here, but we still have to work in the region. So I think that's important. I'm going to take you back even to 2022 when there were bounce back grants available. Kaylee and I, and even Josh at the time, we had to write letters of support for our businesses to get those grants. And what those grants did is it offered a business $10,000 to move into an empty building. So if they had a business that was in their garage, they could maybe relocate it somewhere in town, didn't have to be in Main Street, but they could relocate that business for $10,000. And that was kind of bouncing off of COVID. But that was something that we all did together. We've done joint calls before where we go to other communities and say, okay, what do they have that we don't? Or are they interested in bringing a second location of a restaurant here? We haven't done that for a couple of years, and honestly, I think that's something we need to get back to. Again, blaming it on COVID that we kind of stopped doing that. I am part of Main Street's Economic Vitality Committee, so that keeps us connected in that way as well. Promote and assist with programs, grants, help create shared promo sheets, housing options, a lot of stuff on the website, and making sure we connect to each other's and even to the cities. I've been working closely with Tom to get some updates made to the city website. Develop a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem in the area. I would say that this is really coming along quite nicely. First of all, I'll say I'm a SCORE mentor. That really means that I'm part of a group that it's a national group and that we can help mentor people. Now, people aren't always happy with the advice that's given or the direction those things go. And we never tell them whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. We just make sure that they have a business plan, they have access to resources, and they really think it through. We have resources on our website. We helped with an entrepreneurial survey that was done through the North Central Wisconsin Regional Planning. I'm part of the task force for Wood County that focuses on entrepreneurs. Also very, very involved with Synergy in the state, and you'll kind of hear that throughout. Last year, at my encouragement, we reinstated Mackey's Entrepreneur of the Year. We hadn't done that for quite some time, and I think we may do it again, but we've got to kind of look at that. We didn't have a lot of prospects, and we need to maybe revamp that, but it gave a little recognition to a local downtown entrepreneur that you see pictured. Again, we connect entrepreneurs to federal, state, regional, local resources, trainings, meetings, promote that on our website, on our Monday morning message, Main Street in the city, any way we can. And I'll be talking about that a little bit later. Succession planning has become very important to have those discussions with businesses. As you guys have seen, there's some businesses where they're getting older and sometimes there's no children to pass them on to or whatever, and they just end up closing their doors. So we really feel they need to think about that. And then I want to mention also that Wood County just developed a new grant program. It's a $170 grant that entrepreneurs can apply for, and they will get an 8-week course through Mid-State Technical College. It's called Entrepreneur Foundations, and that's really taking you through that whole training. So we're helping to promote that. I've shared that with Main Street as well, because I really feel that a lot of the entrepreneurs I deal with, they have the ideas, but don't have the rest of it. They don't have the funding. They give up too easily, and you really have to do a lot of research and a lot of digging. So there's 6 other regional events that are happening in the next coming months that we're also helping to promote. Attract people and new desirable businesses. We've talked about that a little bit. When it comes to the state RFIs, and we'll talk about that a little further down the road here too, I was trained on this. I actually went through a training course on how to submit those. And the city's really good about when we get one of those, I kind of pull everything together. They have to supply the information, but once they supply it, I have to put it in a nice package. I supply a letter. Why Marshfield? What makes us unique? Why should this company come here? I apply the maps and everything else that's applied and submit it. Could somebody else do it? Yes. But I think without the training, you're going to find people are going to struggle, and we're really not going to have good project consideration. I will do community tours for job candidates for any business in town. So if they're bringing somebody and they want to know, take them around town, because you know what, you also have to sell it to the family. You have to sell it beyond just that job that might be open. We have videos that are out there. Mackie has a video that'll be released soon about why Marshfield, what's unique about Marshfield. Wood County has done them, Synergy. If you guys haven't looked at those, please do, because there's a lot of them out there. The thing I really like about being at Mackie is I think we're a very knowledgeable, confidential second door of entry for businesses to come to. And then I do update all the available properties on the state's located in Wisconsin website and Mackie. This is free for anybody to do, but you either have to be a realtor developer or an economic development organization to do that. And I do that quarterly too. Retain existing businesses and support expansion efforts. One of my goals is to conduct 20 retention visits each year at the minimum. I'd love to do more, but it's really difficult to get into some of them. We do actual visits where we just go randomly and visit with a company or talk to them. Sometimes they reach out to us and let us know of an expansion that might be coming or an issue they're facing, which is great. And if there's issues, whether it's with the city or somebody else, Mackie, whatever it might be, we bring those back and we share them. We say, this is what we're hearing out there, and maybe something needs to be looked at or done. We do some expos, some career events that I think are important. We participate in Central Wisconsin Days down in Madison. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I did give this presentation to the council. You guys already saw this. One thing I'd like to add to this, though, besides certified sites, I guess now would be a good time to bring this up. The question was asked, how much actual interest have we had in the certified sites since we got that designation? I just got one this morning, and that puts us up to 5. Now, when you say, are they legit? Are they really good? I can't answer that. I don't know if any of you can answer that. This is a state telling us we have interest for a company that may be doing a national search, they might be doing a regional search, or they might be doing a state search. Sometimes we never know who it is. And I can tell you the types of businesses we're getting requests from too. One was a manufacturer of food grade products. One was a recycling company. 2 were refrigeration related, sort of a warehousing or storage. And another one was a food and beverage. And sometimes we know what their investment is going to be. It could be typically millions of dollars. And the reason, there's probably been at least 4 or 5 others I couldn't even respond to. And the reason I couldn't, I'm finding more and more people are looking for existing building. And they want anywhere from 50,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet already up. Even though they can make modifications to it, they want those buildings up. And then one of them we couldn't, I was trying to remember what that one was. It was a mineral extraction company. So that just really didn't fit what we could do. One thing I'd like to mention about Mill Creek as well. I don't know if anybody's heard this yet, but some federal funds have been released. Wisconsin has been named a U.S. regional tech hub to the tune of $49 million. Now, I believe there has to be some state funds to still match that, but that is to really expand the personalized medicine and biohealth research and innovation. I really think that's a great fit for Mill Creek, and I think that's something we could pursue with prevention genetics there. We have egg source, we have ALS. We just really have a lot we can do with labs. I will tell you one of the challenges with that, because my daughter actually works for prevention genetics, and she lives in Waukesha, because some of it they can do remote. So we still run the risk of, expansion, yes, but oftentimes it's with people and they're not always located here. Though I have heard that a lot of them they've been hiring have been coming to Marshfield, which is great. And I'm trying to get my daughter back too, so let's hope that happens. So I want to put together just a couple stats for you. I'm not going to go over these because you guys have looked at them, and I want to leave some time for some questions here. We try to track that every year along with the help of Main Street. Some new things on the horizon. I did talk about some of this already. I think these are good things for this year yet and certainly into next year. I think we always need to have goals and new ideas. If you haven't seen the new Marshfield in Motion book, it is out in the lobby. That just came out, and we're going to try to get that out in more locations. Main Street has it, City has it, we have it. I want to get it up at the clinic and offer it to any businesses that want to take it with them to shows or anything else they might be going to. So here's the funding request. It's been the same for the last several years. What it helps offset the cost for is what I actually do. You know, so these types of projects that we talked about, the RFIs that I do, the putting things on the website, the, you know, all the things, business retentions and all of that, that helps to support those efforts. And then the $6,000 is for promotion and marketing. And oftentimes we don't even use that money. That money is, for example, if we're supporting the developers tour or maybe the heavy metal tour. And I always get approval from Steve to see, is this something that the city might want to support? Does it make sense to do that? And honestly, a lot of this money was used for the signage for the certified site. And when we did that, you know, ribbon cutting and, or groundbreaking, I should say. No ribbon cuttings yet. Okay, so I know somebody had asked the question, and then I'll open it up to other questions. How many jobs for those statistics that we shared were created in 2023? And downtown had 14 new businesses that they tracked with about 19 jobs. You know, sometimes that's hard to tell because it's a mom or a pop. They might have a part-time son or daughter that comes in, or a part-time person, but that's the stats for that. Excuse me. The other 19 new, from what we could track, was about 148. And many of those are part-time though, because when you look at retail and restaurants, they can have a lot of employees, but they're part-time. And so, you know, of that 148, to tell you exactly how many were full-time, that would be a little bit tough. Those that moved or expanded, I would say, and that could be anywhere from 30 to 40. I will tell you, one of the companies that added a new building, they added 30 people just with that new building, and they still need 20. So they have 20 openings that they're not able to fill. And as I talk to some retail folks, they're facing the same thing, that they have availability and they just aren't able to fill that. So I guess at this point, I would like to open it up to questions.
Does anybody on the committee have any questions? Natasha?
Such a surprise. Okay, I do have questions. When you said you were keeping track of space, is this on the website anywhere? Like, could someone go there and somehow find, oh, here's all the space that's available in Marshfield?
I would tell you this, that when you go on our page that has properties available, the first thing we connect to is Main Street because they track the downtown properties that are available. So why should both of us be doing that? So it can go there, it can go to any of the realtors, and then it goes to the Locate in Wisconsin site, which is where we put the majority of projects. Now, we're not putting every little office space that might be available, but I can tell you it's like the New Coven, where there is office space, and that's like an incubator type. We did put that out on the site, but we can't. It would be a full-time job to keep up on everything that's out there. And frankly, that's mostly what the realtors are for.
Okay. But it on that site, they can go link to the realtors, so they...
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
One thing, this is not technically a question, it's more of something that I would like to see, and I'm just speaking not for the whole group, but I would like to see maybe every 6 months, a reporting of saying, let me tell you what's been going on in the last 6 months. We've had this many new businesses. The reason I like full-time is because then they're getting benefits, and I consider that a family stabilizing job. People are going to stay, but if it's just a part-time thing, that doesn't really help me too much. We have this many new businesses with this many full-time jobs. We've lost this many businesses with this many full-time jobs. And then, you know, any updates on these are the needs that we need for economic development. Here's some updates we have on housing or childcare, anything like what you're talking about with new grants and things like that. Yeah, I think that would be really helpful to sort of have some concrete, this is what this position is bringing to Marshfield. And I know that's hard because a lot of what you're doing is relationships and a lot of it's kind of soft marketing and stuff, but I still need some concrete stuff. So that's just a suggestion.
Well, if I can offer to you too, matter of fact, Kaylee and I were talking about this recently. When Josh was on staff, we did at least an annual report that was given to the council and EDB. And then I think for a while just EDB. But anyway, it was an annual report that went back and it looked at all kinds of housing stats. It looked at new businesses. It looked at unemployment rates. It was a pretty big, and I have to say Josh did the majority of it because he had access to a lot of the materials and the information, but Kaylee and I added pieces to that. And then when Josh left and we were both busy, it just kind of fell. We're still tracking a lot of that, but we're not putting it together. But I agree, you guys need that and you should have that. I don't know if every 6 months is the right time frame. Maybe it is. I will also tell you that the only way we know if a new business comes to town is we have to see it or talk to them or something, because a business can just spring up. They don't need to necessarily be inspected unless they're food or, something like that. So it's us seeing it or us seeing it that it's closed. Now, I like to think we have better relationships than that, but I mean, we have over, how many businesses in the community, and we can't get to all of them with very limited staff that is focused on this. But you do bring up good points.
Okay, Ms. Spiros.
Thank you. So the request for funding the contracted services business development director position is $47,000. Who else contributes to that position?
That would be the chamber.
The chamber. Okay, and is that a 50-50 split?
I would say it's pretty close.
Okay.
And, I think, like I said, back in the Economic Development Board days, we really kind of looked at it as more of a contracted services, though there is a job description, which you've seen out there as well. And also know that it's always been at the discretion, whether it was EDB or council, to say, we need to change it. That would be a discussion to definitely have. Do you need different things being done? And again, that's kind of why we're meeting now. I think it also is, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Maybe it'll come back.
It's okay. And then just going back to your stats screen, out of the 33 businesses that opened in Marshfield, are they all still in business or have some of them fallen by the ways?
They actually are all in business. There's one that was kind of a catering that went into like Krabby Dave's. So it was a new business, but then it also went back out, but then Krabby's opened back up this year. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
But otherwise, all of them are still in business.
And are they mostly all in the downtown area?
I would say probably, 14 is what we had out of the 33. So majority of them are.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Karen, is there a difference between the Marshfield, the Marshfield Area Chamber
Foundation?
Yeah, there's one that's a foundation and the other one is just an LLC, I think, isn't it? Or it's nonprofit, 501c3.
Right, the foundation.
But the other one is 501(3)D.
Or is
Why?
it 7? 6?
Huh?
C6.
C6, okay, thank you. So why is it like that?
Well, I would tell you that.
Why isn't it under the same banner?
Well, first of all, Mackey is a membership-driven organization, and this position was not to be that. This position was to be to work with anybody. That's part of the reason it went to the foundation. Foundation is pretty much, we've had projects from Leadership Marshfield where they'll raise funds, and it goes in there, then it goes back out for them to use. And that's what's happening with this funding. It goes into the foundation, and then it comes back out of there.
You don't actually take ownership positions with companies that are trying to raise other monies?
I'm sorry?
No, never mind. I know you just said you'd have money and you put it in a fund and then when the company needs it, they take it out again. Well, I didn't realize you had a fiduciary relationship with them.
Maybe I'm not explaining it correctly. Every quarter I need to submit to Steve for those funds. So
For
it is
the 47,000?
correct. And I give him a report, a quarterly report, and every quarter we request those funds from Steve. So they're technically not sitting in there. They're just requested.
Yeah, and I can probably should start sending those to you as well. I just go through and to make sure that the work that's being done fits with the expectations of what we're looking for and what the job description calls for before I authorize for payment. But I mean, you can certainly see those reports as well.
Okay.
Ed, I think you're questioning like other people putting money into the foundation. Like it's mainly for Leadership Marshfield projects is what it's for.
Could you repeat that again, please?
Leadership Marshfield that we do falls under the foundation. And if they have a project, they go out and raise funds and that money goes into the 501c3 to be held for their project. But we don't take any outside stuff in.
Okay, that explains what you're doing with, good. Okay, any other questions? If not, we'll move on to, next is Marshfield Area Chamber Foundation. Aaron Olson, nope. Sorry, see, there's that foundation again. Main Street, Marshfield, Kaylee Gomez. Hi, Kaylee.
As we're kind of getting settled in here, my name is Kaylee Gomez. I'm the Executive Director of Main Street Marshfield, and I really appreciate the reporting thought that was brought to the last presentation. We used to give monthly economic development reports to the EDB, and if that was something that was structured that Main Street and the Chamber were able to bring to the attention of the council or another body here, I know that would be not just beneficial for you, but wonderful for us to be able to share a little bit about what we're doing on a monthly basis. So I would encourage that in the future, because what you're seeing today from the partners is such a sliver of the work we do. Today I'm going to talk about planters and marketing, and that is a very, very small amount of what Main Street does. But you'll see our annual report. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview from the past year. So the packet sent out before the meeting outlined our 2024 summary, request for 2025, the outline of the business marketing grant program and this year's marketing grant projects. And during our presentation this evening, I'll give a brief overview of the work we do at Main Street, revisit our planter request, and then dive a little deeper into the marketing request. You should have seen this overview in your packet. I hope everyone had a chance to meet it. This is a way that we show people our impact cycle. So we have a lot of downtown communication with the businesses and the property owners, and then we advocate for what their needs and their desires are. Then we make improvements based on projects, grants, and other initiatives that have to do with our four-point approach. And then, of course, we promote the downtown. And one of the major complaints that we've had, at least since my tenure, is we are very busy doing events and we are very busy advertising those events, but we're not generally marketing the downtown. We're not getting to the nitty-gritty story of the businesses that are downtown and providing an authentic voice for the businesses and the properties that we have. And every time we have a wine walk or a beer walk and people are physically in those businesses and forced to stop at all these different locations, every time, without fail, we get people saying, I never knew this was here and I've lived here for 10 years, 20 years, however it may be. So that's one way that we do marketing, but I want to talk about some other ways today as well. When you look at our total budget, our ask is 13.7% of our total budget. And just to give you a little bit of an idea for how much you would typically spend on marketing if you were, say, a corporation, for example, you'd spend 5% roughly on a marketing budget. And I can tell you right now, when you're looking at sales, if you were looking at sales for the entire district and you thought of that as one company that we were trying to advertise for, you'd be looking at sales for retail, restaurant, and bars as about 50 million. So 5% of that, I mean, you think about what that's going to be, it's going to be well over above the $30,000 ask that we're asking for today. So I just want you to keep in perspective the amount of businesses that we're trying to share with the community and with visitors in our area. So the flower planter budget, that is just something that I would say is a given with downtown beautification funds. I know that it's no secret that Main Street would love to see this in a different area. If the city was able to budget that in, that would be wonderful. Right now, we have it contracted out to an entity in town that is able to handle it. The district has 77 planters each year. Because of all of the salt and all of the weathering that happens, they actually require a little bit of resoiling, fertilization, and then hardy plants to be reinstalled, as well as weekly watering, which is a task for volunteers that is no longer possible. We kind of grew from like this 20 planter situation to now our 77 across the whole district. And it's gorgeous, but it takes quite a bit of coordination. We went out to bid for that. One person came back, it was Mill Creek, and that's who we have our current contract with. And just so you are aware, daily traffic counts downtown are about 10,000. So they can see a lot of concrete or they can see this. And I would say that they're leaving and entering downtown Marshfield with a positive impression, or they're leaving with kind of a humdrum impression. And there are places that are a lot smaller than us that are investing in hanging baskets. The reason that we do planters is because they do hold moisture better. They don't require quite as much frequency of watering. And with just the sheer length of our downtown, they make a lot more sense for impact, especially being 4-lane. So our marketing is a selective process, and I'll outline each of the buckets that we prioritize with our marketing funds this year to help paint a picture for how we intend to use funds in the next year. There may be some adjustments. We're only halfway through 2024, and obviously we're going to be able to kind of analyze how 2024 wraps up at the end of the year and the best use of the funds. This is targeted, it's expert-driven, and we are aiming to build brand loyalty around downtown and our city's small businesses. The board and the promotion committee do not believe in wasting resources or leaning on our own understanding to guide our strategy. We are consistently reaching out to people who are experts in the marketing field. Some people that we work with on a regular basis, at least monthly. We talk with Exclamation, our partners for the marketing grants. We talk with Cheney Marketing Strategy. And then our board president actually has 20-odd some years experience in data analyzation at Figgy's in the marketing department. And this is, again, what that marketing budget could look like if downtown was seen as one corporation. And oftentimes in economic development reports that you'll see on a larger scale level, they'll talk about downtowns as being the largest employer or one of the largest employers in town, because they like to kind of think of that as a unit. So the marketing grant. Through this grant, businesses can apply to receive $2,000 in marketing value for their business, which ranges from things like website development, social media scheduling, logo development, and more. And it allows owners to really target what they want to with the funds. We give some suggestions, but if there's something they really, really want to see, Exclamation Services will personalize something else for them as well. It's been a program based on needs expressed from the district and finding ways to leverage partnerships to help small businesses take the next step for their business. We do some work for them, but anything that they're going to build on is really on them. They would have to hire another marketing firm, hire someone else to do that for them, or kind of take the initiative and take the next step in using that logo or something like a website. We receive feedback from recipients and adjust the program accordingly each year. Here's an example from a recent year. The Northwood County Historical Society received a rebranding and they put it to work, and I'm seeing them out in the community consistently using this. And it truly gives them a little bit more of an authority and a polished look in wherever they're doing their fairs or if they're doing a fundraiser. Billboards, they are guaranteed impressions, and I actually pushed back at the idea of investing in them as they personally do nothing for me. I do not like them. I wish they didn't exist. I hear Maine has none. That seems nice to me, but I can't argue with data. These are 2 of our 5 planned billboards this year. They're up for at least a month, and then if there's nothing following them, that will get left a little while longer. Billboards typically cost a business $1,500 to $2,000 per billboard, depending on how traffic flows in that location. Our nonprofit discount is giving us 5 billboards for 1, and we only have that because we're a nonprofit. This is 2, there'll be 3 more plans based on availability throughout the year. Right now they're in Abbotsford and Neilsville, and the promotion committee will look and find a few other locations. Now I'm going to talk about branding photography. This is my personal favorite. I love taking pictures. I love capturing moments, but I am not a photographer. And visuals are extremely, extremely important to today's customer. If you talk to some of our marketing friends, they will tell you that if you don't have quality visuals, you're going to be lost, completely lost. You have to have a call to action, and you also have to have quality visuals, not just visuals. So we know that anyone with an iPhone has a camera and filters, but we know that that's not always going to be the most reliable, on brand, and storied way to deliver quality images of our downtown. Staff time at Main Street is pinched. We are always working on several economic development projects, building relationships with businesses, prepping presentation data, and preparing for the next seasonal events. And having staff take images, if they know what they're doing, can take work. It takes a lot for us to be comfortable giving that sort of time to photography and editing and building a shot list and making sure that everyone's being represented really well. A photographer does that instinctively and quickly, and it's just done. And yes, we could 100% ask volunteers to do this, but as we're finding more and more, if we want to have a marketing strategy and not just marketing randomness, we really want to stick and find quality partners to make this happen. Good branding photographers have an eye. They live this and they catch things that we don't always catch. And then again, we're always trying to marry the authenticity of our businesses downtown and the Marshfield story with our marketing. We want people to be compelled to come here, but we also want them to have a real experience when they're seeing that image that's going to be delivered when they come here. So I'm going to go through a few of these. This is Senior Craft Shop. This is Michael Goldsmith at Jeweler's Palette. This is use of our local trail systems downtown and public art. Thimbleberry Books. Hub City Ice Cream. Hub City Times and a local building. Mr. G's. Bevy Beauty. Merle Norman. Casa Amigos. Chestnut Center for the Arts. Local dog-friendly businesses. And Rogers Cinema. We are using images like this to gradually add more to our social media. We'll be doing a website revamp this year, and you will see all of these businesses represented with images. That's the goal, that if they're gonna visit our website, they're gonna get an authentic image that is very high quality and gonna help tell that business's story. It isn't just something pulled off of Yelp or whatever it may be. So here's an example of a social media ad. We have an ad campaign this year that is playing the eat, drink, shop, play and stay model. So this is how it would look if it was in your news feed. You can see that it's kind of beckoning you to click so you get through all the images. And the idea is, as you click, you would see all of these. So we would select a different eating establishment for Eat every single month. We'd select a different drink. Some of them would be NA, some of them would be a picture of someone having a drink in a bar. Shop would be a different retailer, and stay and play would be a mix of, staying if it was like an Airbnb, a hotel, or one of our entertainment businesses, so that we're really hitting those visitor options. The next one is our vinyl window stickers. So we've had many discussions in both Design Committee and Economic Vitality Committee about some of our more haggard-looking buildings downtown. We can't push redevelopment fast enough. I mean, we all want to see things happen, and we're constantly pushing resources towards those property owners, giving them the time that they need through discussion to help them be successful in their building plans. But until they're ready, that building is just going to sit, and we want to make that sit to our advantage. So this year we prioritized putting sort of a window mural in place to cover it up a little bit. It gives a positive energy to that building. Instead of looking up at the facade, you're going to be looking down at the window and thinking about downtown Marshfield as a positive place to be. They would like to see this in other windows as well. And if you have seen this in other communities, you might see things like historic photographs that people have blown up of that building when it was in its heyday, or public art, or like a cute quote or something like that. It really does act just like a mural, but until that building is redeveloped, it just can sit there and help us along a little bit. And And then the last thing is staff time. So staff time is so important. Staff facilitates these projects. We recruit our husbands to longboard for photography shoots. We recruit our friends who stay at home with their daughters within an hour to come and represent Scotty's Pizza at the plaza. We build relationships with our event staff, and then we're the ones that make sure that the marketing list all gets checked off. So making sure that the staff can justify their hours is extremely important as well. And now I'd open it up for questions.
Do we have any questions? Natasha?
This is going to be really brief. I love the window thing. I love the planters. I love your events. You guys hit it out of the ballpark consistently. So when I think about, and this was the question that Mr. Wagner asked you, and this is going to be the theme for tonight, I'm thinking, we bring in 10,000 people for a car show. I assume some of them are using hotels. You said that you were given $1,000 as a grant for that event. Is that correct? From Visit Marshfield?
Yes, that's typically how structured asks are from Visit Marshfield.
Okay, so again, I don't know how to do this, but it just seems a little crazy that an organization that is so benefiting from all the work that you're doing is not a major financial partner in this. So I'm just saying that because I'm blown away that $1,000 did nothing. I mean, it's just hardly anything in our days in an event for your budget. So, but thank you for your presentation.
I'm going to interrupt for a minute. Plan Commission is supposed to be meeting in here around 7 o'clock. So I would ask anybody who's making further presentations to observe some kindness and so we can get this agenda met tonight. Kaylee, anybody else have a question? Yeah, Andy.
Thank you. This is more of a logistics question here, because I know that we have on there that there's no act tonight for the 4 presentations we just got. And discussion action set for September 3rd, but I thought we had heard that there's a 5th one presenting for the 3rd. Are we going to run into logistic issues about suspending rules or all that fun stuff?
You know, my current intent, and maybe I didn't put that in the memo, is that the decisions be made on September 17th. There'll be one more presentation on the 3rd, and then you'll have time to think about all that before making a final recommendation.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I think, Steve, who's up next? Mr. Laus?
All right, I'll make this quick. What we're asking for is an additional to our normal budget is $15,000. Last year or this year in 2024, we did ask EDB for $5,000. What we did with that $5,000 is help produce economic development videos of local businesses with Mackey's. So on a weekly basis, myself and Denise go out and do a very short video of a local chamber member and put that out on our social media feeds, as well as share it on their platforms. And it's gotten some really good traction. And it's pretty easy to do, I should say. I don't like to say the word easy, but it's been working well, and we'd like to continue it. But what we'd like to do is offer more of that to our partners, which would be Main Street Marshfield, as well as Visit Marshfield, to help them do something similar. Now, we're not planning to do the main recruitment kind of videos with these. These are short, quick snippets. They could be less than a minute. They could be 30 seconds. But it is a way to attract development, attract what the businesses are doing here, as well as events that these businesses do. We do this quite a bit now, but we're looking to help with our budget, as it's hard to keep doing the things we've been doing, but on just surviving on the video franchise fees from Charter Communications. We do use these videos as well as on our community media platforms. So before a council meeting, you may see these. Denise has said that people have seen those, which is good. Her mother must watch it, but I had to say that. But anyway, that's what we're looking to do. And you can see these. They're really called the walkthrough Wednesday is what we have. But we'd like to extend that. This is a little different than the videos that we do. We do charge now to help aid in our budget, videos that are for the entity itself, not really used on our platform. So if somebody's looking for that, that's a different deal. And that's actually a charge deal through our department to help put money back into the budget and used when we budget for future years. So that's a little different. We have already started that, just to let you know. So this is just working with partnership and then maybe expanding that if time if we have enough time. But for now, we're looking at trying to add the 2 entities to that and add an extra 10,000 from 5,000. So that is what I'm doing. And any questions?
Yeah, just really quickly, Tom, could you just give us like really just 5 things that you'd use this on and be specific?
Sure. Well, what we have is, like I say, we would do the short videos with the members, introducing what the business is with Mackey. We'd continue doing that. We do 1 a week. That's 52 right now. If we were to charge for a video similar to that, we'd be up to about $13,000.
So these are specific to certain businesses?
They would be, for chamber, it would be just their chamber members. So however many members they have, Denise lines those up. I go out and follow her and we work on the video and I put it all together and share it on our platforms. We could
And you
do
said
this.
you are charging for these?
Not for these. We do not charge for these videos. These are different. I just wanted to let you know we do charge for video work, but it's different kind of video work. So that's it's just another piece I wanted to add in.
So how do you determine who to charge and who not to charge?
We're only doing videos for Mackey, Main Street, and we would, right now, only Mackey at this point.
Okay.
So we would not charge any of those at this point, but generally we're charging when we're doing a different kind of video, a whole different kind of video, maybe a recruitment video for them, an HR video. It would have nothing to do with what we're doing in the city. It wouldn't run on any of our platforms. It's no different than another video company out there. We're just using our expertise, our equipment to do that on top of what we do to help get a little extra money in our budget to maybe do things that we can't do.
Okay, so if a business who didn't belong to Mackey wanted the same sort of treatment and wanted a video, you would charge them?
Right now, we would have to charge them, yes, which would be approximately, for a 1-minute video is $500.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll see you again in September.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At the request of the city administrator, and because the time is running late, there's another meeting coming in this room, we're going to do away with the closed session, and we're going to go ahead and handle the subject of the renewals separately and in open session. So, but next up on the agenda right now is item number 7 is request to recommend council approval to refill vacant zoo manager position presented by Justin Casperson. Justin, there you are.
Good evening and thank you. In the essence of time, I'm going to try to breeze through this so we can get to the Plan Commission on time. Sarah Strohat is resigning from her position as a zoo manager with the Parks and Recreation Department after 3 years of service to the city. Sarah's last day with work will be Friday, September 20th. On behalf of the Park and Recreation Department and the city, I want to take this opportunity to thank Sarah for her commitment and dedication to our community, as well as the zoo animal. I think most of you are aware we have one full-time person at the zoo, which is the zoo manager, who plays a significant role not only at the zoo, but our entire city and the care and upkeep of the zoo, as well as the animals. The zoo is obviously our #1 tourist attraction in town, where most people come to visit and looking for something to do. They will visit the zoo. So our recommendation is to replace this zoo manager position with the Parks and Recreation Department.
What's your pleasure? First by Rebecca, second by Ryan to approve to fill the position.
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion?
Well, I'm wondering if Mr. Casperson has any idea of why, or we like to know, like, what causes people to...
You're free to ask the question if you wish. Okay, is that question directed to him? Go ahead.
Thank you.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Why she left? She's going to Wisconsin Rapids to a veterinary technical place. It's less stress and less work for her. So the position itself probably, or the facility itself probably requires 2 full-time positions. Right now, it's only 1 full-time position. It is a challenging job. It's imagine taking care of 100 of your pets all the time, 24/7, 7 days a week. And it is a challenge. And so we're hoping to get a very qualified, experienced person to fill her position.
Any further questions? If not, are you ready to vote? If so, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Casperson, you're up for the next one too. Request to recommend council approval of a 5-year renewal, 2025 through 2029, of the city's current agreement with the Marshfield Rotary Club related to the annual Rotary Winter Wonderland event held at Wildwood Zoo. Justin.
I think most of you are very familiar with Rotary Winter Wonderland event at the zoo. We are just renewing our 5-year agreement with them. They're able to do the event at the park and zoo every November through December, and they pay for utilities and any costs that are incurred to the facility. They've been very good partner organizations with this, and all of their efforts goes back to help fill the shelves at the food shelf pantry. So this is a renewal. Both the edited as well as the clean copy were inserted in the packet, and I'll entertain any questions.
Move to approve.
Moved by Natasha, second by Brian to approve. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Okay, where are we at here? Okay, we are at item number 9, request to recommend council for approval of 5-year renewals from 2025 through 2029 for the city's current contracts with Gate of Heavens Catholic Cemetery Association and Emmanuel Lutheran Cemetery Association. Justin, you got that one too?
Thank you again. We have 5-year contracts with the Lutheran and Catholic cemeteries for maintenance of their cemeteries. We are just renewing it. All the edits and changes are noted in both contracts. There's a clean version as well as an edited version. In addition, we do still charge their cemeteries for intermittents, openings, niche and crypt sales, as well as winter fees. So we do charge additional besides just the annual maintenance fee. So this is just a renewal for another 5 years.
Andy,
I move to recommend for council approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Rebecca?
I just have one quick question. This is a 5-year renewal. How often do you go out to bid for this contract?
They pay us to service the cemetery, so we don't bid it out.
Okay.
We provide the service, they pay the city.
Okay,
for the
gotcha.
service.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And next up, okay, Tom, it's up to you again.
Okay.
This is to discuss the council approval of a comprehensive social media policy presented by Tom Laus. Tom, present.
All right, thank you. I made the changes that were brought up at the last finance, budget, and personnel meeting, and I'll just go over those really quickly so that you see that I addressed the concerns that you had at the last meeting. The director of communication will be the person that grants access to social media sites and only by authorized by the department or division head. So the director of communications will not do it until they receive authorization from that either department or division head. There will be 2 users only per department. We talked about that, so we want to make sure there are only 2 users, and those are really called content editors. They will have not full access, they will not have administrative access. So only 2 users, that's not counting the administrator, will have access to each page. So if you're talking about like Vanda Hay Waters, 2 people would have that, plus the administrator, as well as the communications director as I get on down this list that I have. Like I said, each department or division head will administer their pages. Again, the communications director does not administer those pages. We have our own pages to manage that are communications. Social media administrators, like I said, will notify the communications director of employees who resign from the city. We talked about resignations, really important that we do take those off after the day that they're off, not right away. So Deleting and hiding comments, what I did is I changed, making sure that hiding comments are also prohibited. We did not have hiding in there, so both deleting and hiding contents are prohibited. A user, I like this idea. I decided to go with this as Rebecca's mentioned it. Adding a title at the end of their post for credibility. I think it points to who does it within the department, and if people have questions, then they can easily refer to that person. We're not asking for them to put names, we're just asking for a title, not just like the department, but an actual title that they're given. So I think that would be a really good one. The other piece that I did add in here that I want to make sure is I will be providing analytical reports. I think that's really important so you guys can see, and this would be given to the communications committee as well as council, of what these pages are doing, not just communications, but as well as the other pages that we have. We have several of them, and I will be making sure that they're administered. Now, if we do have pages, we have 4 pages that are under the communications department. The backup would have to be my supervisor, which is communications, city administrator at this point. So we do have a backup. So if for some reason I would be out, because we'd have administrators for the department page, but we wouldn't have I'd be the only administrator for communications page, which is the main city hall, city page, as well as the Marshfield broadcasting. We got to have a backup, which would be the city administrator's position. And, but it just serves as a backup. So if we have issues, and then we'll make my position or the communications position will make sure that IT is notified, because these all have to be archived. All these pages need to be make sure they're archived. And those are the updates that I made. If I've missed any or you got questions, we can talk about them.
Questions?
Move to send it to council for approval.
Second.
We'll move to seconded, move to council for approval. Discussion? Rebecca?
Just really quickly, Tom, if you could send that to us through email, because in the packet, and maybe this was only mine, it was 100% blurry and I couldn't read any of it.
Okay, sure, I'm glad to.
Any further discussion? Are you ready to vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Tom. And let's see, where are we at the next? Okay, request that council recommend approval of the 2025 ambulance billing rates presented.
Different services, same level of services. And we established this table that's before you. We believe that we should move to those rates just in keeping with our peers and updating rates appropriately over time.
Are there any questions? If not, what's your pleasure? Motion by Spiros to amend, to present to the council?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, Andy on a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now that will mean we're,
Thank you.
Article 12, items for future agendas. Does anybody have, okay, for future agendas? Andy?
Do we need a motion for the closed item session to be pushed off to the next meeting?
That's what we're, I think that might be a good idea. Well, coming from a lawyer.
I'll
you better
move
leave
to
it.
both.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll move to, how do I say this, not postpone, but refer the closed item session number 13 to the full common council.
That's good. Is there a second? Second by Brian. Discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So that gets rid of everything from there, from 11 and 13, 14 and 15. So what we're left with is suggested items for future agendas. What's your pleasure? Anything? Nobody? Okay, we'll move down then again. If there's nothing else, I declare this meeting adjourned. 1 minute. I missed by 1 minute. Jeez.